the whole idea of this show, the whole idea of the book, the whole idea of this message that we're trying to put out there, which I know, it's nothing new to you because you're a master of this stuff, is that the money is in the back end. The money is in, monetizing customers. And I would love to hear, your take on how you guys monetize your customers, and maybe perhaps one of the best or biggest breakthroughs that you guys have had over the years in terms of monetizing your customers.
I almost don't even like to refer to it sometimes as the front end and the back end. I really like to just refer to it as, the front end, customer acquisition, and then the business that we're in, right? Because ultimately the back end, right, really is the business that we're in. That is the business. And ultimately what we're doing is really, on the front end, to acquire customers, to acquire buyers, clients, we're designing offers and campaigns that allow us economically to do that, to acquire those assets. I really don't get caught up in the marketing performance metrics. Like, I really don't care what the sales conversion rate is, or the opt-in rate, the sales conversion rate, the order form completion rate. Like, all of those things are performance metrics that help me to understand what's working well in the campaign and what's not. But none of those metrics we can't deposit sales conversion rate. You can't deposit order form completion rate. At the end of the day, I really care about what does it cost us to acquire a buyer? What's the buyer worth to us the day that we acquire them? And then what's the future value of that buyer in 14 days, in 30 days, in 60 days, in 90 days. I really think that when the front end is done right and you deliver the goods, you fulfill on your promises and you exceed expectations, you set up the back end, the real business, to not require the same level of marketing savvy needed on the front end. Meaning that on the back end, people are buying because of trust, right? Because they now have a level of trust with you because you fulfilled and you exceeded expectations on the front. Like, I'll never forget. I was fortunate enough to have dinner one night with Mark Ford and David Deutsch, and I believe like Paris Lampropoulos was there. I have no idea why I was at this dinner, and I'll never forget Mark talking about at Agora. What they saw was that on the front end, they relied so heavily on big marketing ideas and these indirect leads and, these just big, massive campaigns. And what they were ultimately shooting for on the back end, the business, was just being able to make a recommendation and have people jump at it because of the level of trust and relationship that they now have based on delivery on the front end. And so, I've always tried to do that in our business, where I've always tried to over deliver on the front end, so that when we come out with something new for our customers, we don't need the big hoopla. There's already a level of trust there. We still go the distance with the attractive solution. We still go the distance with the irresistible offer. But we're really just saying, here's what this is about, and here's what it'll do for you, and here's why I think that this is going to be enormously valuable for you, and here's the solution, and here's how it works, and here's why it's great, and here's the offer. And so I know that that's not really some big breakthrough, but that's how we think about the back end.
Yeah, no, that's great. You mentioned there a few minutes ago, you want to get 60 to 80% back on day one. How quickly are you looking to recoup that other 20 to 40% to break even?
For us, we can go 60. We'll go 60. We can even go as far as 90 days on that. It's very easy for a lot of experienced marketers to really understand this idea of going negative on the front end, right? Having a higher CPA than your AOV because of, let's say, lifetime value or 1 month value, 2 month value, 3 month value, right? Because, I'll make it up on the back end. But what not a lot of people talk about is how negative can you go in your particular business. In other words, right, if you're going $50 negative and you're acquiring, 100 customers a week and you don't break even for 30 days, that's one thing. But if you're going $50 negative and you're acquiring 1,000 customers a week and you don't get to break even for 6 weeks, well, you could run out of money. You could run out of capital before you have the chance to recoup that. And so it's not just a matter of understanding the value of trading money up front for an asset that has greater value in the future. It's understanding, right, how much can I float and for how long, and what does that ultimately mean for my scale?
Yeah, in my experience, what I've found is that first and foremost, most people don't even comprehend the idea of going into the hole, because their entire perception of marketing is that I should be making profit from the very first customer acquisition funnel. And they are not even aware of the need to be monetizing, not, at all, let alone aggressively on the back end. But in addition to that, what I see a lot of is marketers that don't have an understanding of what it is they're really doing. Like a lot of the times, like dogs will chase, cars and, for no reason. They're just chasing the cars. Marketers will chase scale for no reason. Just to do it, just for the ego trip of it. But one of, as I look back in my own career, one of the greatest kind of revelations that I had is, gosh, if I work the back end enough, I don't have to acquire so many customers on the front end. I don't have to max myself out. I don't have to be teetering on, the point of insanity, acquiring customers on the front end, spending so much money. We used to drop a tremendous amount of money in the newspapers every month. And there was just so much money on the go that, if all of a sudden there was a hurricane coming or you know what I mean? We could get into so much trouble. There was always so many things going on that even in the mail, if there's something happening when we were acquiring customers in the mail, there's so much money out and it's out for such a long period of time that anything can kind of go wrong. When you're spending a lot of money. But what I learned was there's a big difference between acquiring a lot of customers and making a lot of money. And, a lot of marketers, I feel, get caught up in this, in not understanding what the actual goal is of what they're doing. And as a result, they start to chase goals that don't actually accomplish what it is that they're trying to do. So I think that's a big thing. First and foremost, from a macro level, are you looking for income or are you looking for customers? Because a lot of the times if you work the back end enough, you can earn a lot more money from acquiring a lot less customers than if you were to acquire a lot of customers but not be monetizing the back end.
Oof, well said, man. That's so well said.
And I learned this by getting, into trouble, but really taking the time to nail down the monetization side of things on the back end before you really put the foot to the floor on the front end. I'm embarrassed to admit that more than once I, put the foot down on the front end without having the back end in place properly and ended up, losing my shirt as a result of doing that. But I feel like once you kind of have systematically kind of understood, this is how these customers from this campaign convert throughout this funnel on the back end, it becomes a lot safer then to kind of scale and get this kind of understanding of how long it takes to how much you can go in the hole and how long it can take for you to get your investment back. The problem is that it varies then as well. It varies from traffic source to traffic source. It can vary from campaign to campaign. So if you enjoyed this clip and you'd like to benefit from more monetization secrets, go and register now for Monetization Daily. You can go to monetizationresearch.com to get it. It is a free newsletter that is absolutely awesome. It is delivered to your email inbox and it contains lots of great monetization tips, tactics, and strategies that you will love. Again, head on over to monetizationresearch.com to get it now.